Casey here. I always forget to launch my YouTube. Bear with me. Excuse me, I have to go back and I have to edit the YouTube. So I am sorry, I have to actually publish it. If I make it private, I'm just talking to myself. Not as much fun. So I think I've got that going. We are public. We're going to view on watch page. We're going to look here. Again, sorry for that. We are not going to be messing with you this morning. So good morning, all. I hope that there are some folks out there in the world. Today is Monday, April 24th, 2017. If you are seeing this, and it is not between about 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time and whenever we finish, around probably 9:45 or 10, it is not live. Good morning, Annie. Good morning, Jesse. So happy to see you. Yay, finally made a live chat. Good morning. Another intro. Let me start back because I had not published the chat when I got started. My name is Casey Durango. I talk about the ketogenic diet, and hopefully my experience can help others lose weight, improve their health, and regain control of their lives. That's my little tagline. And I want to, my top, good morning, Pat. Pat is a patron, and I really appreciate all the patrons who have stepped up. It's awesome. I want to talk about a couple of things today. So I'm going to cover a couple of topics. These are just my thoughts, y'all. Everyone is different. Everyone needs to find what works for them, but these are my thoughts. I want to talk about because you hear about it, and maybe you've experienced this, just kind of not losing at all or losing more slowly than you anticipated. We've talked about it before. But if you're not losing at all, and I don't mean, I was losing and now I'm kind of stalled out a little bit. Or if people around you are having this experience where they're starting the ketogenic diet and they're not losing an ounce. They've been on it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Let's talk about that. How could that happen? It could. The first question I ask is, do you know if you're in ketosis? For those of you who don't know, being in a state of ketosis is the point of the ketogenic diet, which is what I do. That means your body has shifted from burning glucose for fuel, glucose equals sugar, to burning ketones for fuel. Ketones equal fat burner. And that's what we want. We want it not only to lose weight, but it's almost a byproduct of everything else that comes with the benefits of the ketogenic diet. It's almost a happy byproduct. But in my opinion, to get the best benefits from eating this way is to be in a state of ketosis, not just for weight loss or losing body fat, for a loss of inflammation, for a return to your brain, getting your brain back. There is really compelling evidence coming out that being in a state of ketosis is beneficial for brain function, neurological issues. We know it is good for, getting people out of type 2 diabetes. Good morning, Margie, another patron. And let me tell you what I love about Margie. She manages to work in a wine glass emoji and usually some bacon on almost every communication. Yeah, gotta love that. So all those things are great. So being in a state of ketosis is a benefit just in itself. Forget about weight loss. That said, if you're not in a state of ketosis and you think you're doing the ketogenic diet, why would that be? Almost certainly it's because you're simply eating more carbohydrate than your body will, in order to switch over from the liver pumping out glucose to it not pumping out glucose. So what happens is if you're eating carbs at a certain level or higher, you're going to be your liver will process it and out goes the glucose out of the liver into the blood. And that's what most of us have done for decades on the standard American diet because it's very heavily weighted towards carbohydrate. If you reduce your carbohydrate intake sufficiently, your liver will not put out glucose. It will start burning ketones. And excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to open the door and let the dogs out. Excuse me. Live television. Gotta love it. Here we go. Sorry. So it's a rainy day here. It's been raining for about 36 hours. Kind of gloomy, but the dogs needed to go out anyway. All right, so sorry about that. So if you're not in a state of ketosis, there's the first thing you want to address. If you're not losing, how do you do that? Reduce your level of carbohydrate intake. Pretty much for just about everybody, per Dr. Westman, if you can keep your carbs below 20 grams a day or fewer, that's total carbs, not net, it should work. The way he has put it, not to me, but to a patient of his, this is the patient quoted him, that Dr. Westman told this patient, I can guarantee this diet will work. I can't guarantee that you will do it. He's pretty certain that it'll work. 20 grams or fewer, eat fatty sources of protein, and eat only when hungry. So if you're not losing, check and see if you're in ketosis. You can do that the easiest way. You don't have to do anything. You can, if you're losing weight, your appetite is suppressed, you can, you're energized, energized, I think I said that already. You might say, oh, I'm in ketosis, but an inexpensive tool are the keto sticks. These are the ones that we use. I have a link, an affiliate link to this below this thing, and I stick with the keto sticks, the Bear brand. I know that there's some others. A lot of keto products have come on the market. I just don't know how well they're tested. I just stick with these. Keep in mind, these were not developed to test people to be in ketosis for weight loss. These are a medical tool for people who have type 1 diabetes to make sure that their ketone levels, which do have to be monitored if you're a type 1 diabetic, to make sure that they can on a daily basis or more than daily check their ketone levels. They're an excellent tool. They are reliable. I've talked about it many times. So anyway, don't check first thing in the morning, check later in the day. If you're in ketosis and not losing, let's check. What will be the next question? Are you overeating dietary fat? Being in a state of ketosis means you're a fat burner. Dr. Westman says, this is not a weight loss diet, this is a fat burning diet. If you're overeating dietary fat and your body's energy needs are being met by what the amount of fat you're consuming, it does not need to tap into your onboard stores. We've said this many times. And if you're in ketosis, you're not overeating dietary fat, and you're not losing any weight, are you eating more food than your body needs in general? So it comes up, Dr. Westman tells the story about one of his clinic patients who just, he's week after week, no weight, nothing. And, Dr. Westman was scratching his head. What's going on with this? He had the food list. He had the, and the man gets up to leave, and he jingles. Dr. Westman said, what does that sound? So, pulls out his box of Tic Tacs. I, pop these, an entire package a day. The guy thought he was doing it right. He thought he was being low carb. So, you might think you're being low carb, but find out if you're being low carb. Here are the tools I used when I started, because I didn't know how to measure grams of carbs or anything. I used MyFitnessPal application and I didn't worry about what MyFitnessPal was telling me I needed to do, because it's defaults to the standard American diet. I just wanted to see how many grams of carbohydrate I was eating a day. Didn't care about fat, protein, calories. And I incorporated the use of my OXO food scale. Get a food scale. It doesn't have to be this one. I like this one. It measures in grams and ounces, and it has an illuminated dial. I always forget to turn it on before I try to show you the illuminated dial. Dummy. There you go. And so I started measuring. And loading into my MyFitnessPal. Oh, there's that. And then I learned what a serving of vegetables that will keep me below 20 grams a day started to look like. Guess what? It's not a plate of broccoli. It's a few ounces of broccoli. And this book, which I've referenced often, if you like science, if you want to know the explanation of how it's supposed to work, this is good. Links to all these affiliate links are below. So ask yourselves these questions. Am I in ketosis? If not, start looking at your intake of carbohydrate. Often it's overeating vegetables. And make sure you're not eating starchy vegetables, for goodness sake. Look at your intake of dietary fat, and then look at your intake of food in general. Are you eating only when hungry? That's my little talk about what if you're not losing or you're losing very slowly. We do know that weight loss slows down. Slow loss is loss. Slow loss is good loss. Let's lose some weight, guys. Let's do it slowly. Let's do it quickly. I'm a slow loser. I'm a fast learner, but I'm a slow loser. I hit a new low on Saturday. I'm a tenth of a pound lower than my previous low. It was 48 days since my previous new low. So I'm down 95.5 pounds. So lose slowly. Most of us around here been heavy for a long time. Years, decades. What do we care if it takes a year and a half, 2 years to lose? What do we care? We're losing. But maybe if you're frustrated with the rate of weight loss, forget about weight loss. Start asking yourself, do I feel better? Do I have more energy? Do I not need to take a nap at 2:30 in the afternoon or feel like I need to take a nap? Am I not ready to string someone up if they don't get me a cookie in the middle of the afternoon because I need that food rush? Ask yourself other questions. Can I get up off the sofa without my knees hurting? And not because I've lost weight, but because they're not inflamed? So maybe just change your focus. If you're frustrated with the rate of weight loss, make something else your goal. Can I wear a pair of jeans that I couldn't wear? If Jean is, good morning, Kim. If Jean is in the house, I think Jean shared on Facebook on the Keto After 40 group, so I'm not spilling the beans. She fit into a pair of a size 18 jeans. Non-scale victory. So, looking at change. Weight loss is a benefit. It's a side benefit. It does not need to be the only thing that goes on with this. Okay. So I got in my little 2 cents. Now, I'm going to address some questions that have been asked of me. I am going to assume that they are coming from a place of concern and not a place of judgment. I have been asked, well, I've been told, actually, that I'm not eating enough, that I'm putting myself into starvation mode, and that I must get 3 meals a day. What do we think about that, guys? Does anyone want to say what they think about that? Does anyone want to say what they think I think about that? I'll give you a moment to think about it. And I'm looking for my glasses, which are not here. So I'm going to look strangely as I try to figure out what is on the screen, okay? I'm going to turn my attention to some of our guests that have shown up. Good morning, Tammy. Ann Lewis, thanks. Need to start input everything in for a few weeks. It's easy to think you're doing well. I think I'm overeating, bouncing all over the place. It really is. You know, it's called carb creep. The guy with the Tic Tacs thought he was doing it right. So, well, there's little Tic Tacs. But he was eating an entire package a day. You know, and keep in mind on labels that something can say it's less than a gram. If something is less than a gram of a measure per serving size, labelers can say it's 0. Okay? So something could say it has 0 carbs, but if common sense tells you, well, it's not an animal product, it's not protein or fat, A food is either fat or protein or carb or some combination of those. But if it's not a fat or protein at all, it's a carb of some form. So if someone says, oh, a Tic Tac is a serving and it has no carbs, and I don't know, I'm just making this up. Tic Tacs might say that they have a gram of carb. I don't know. But if it's less than a gram, legally they can say it's 0. So, let's employ our brain power just a little bit. Renee Scott, thanks, Jesse Blanchard. I was thinking about my FitnessPal input. Jesse Blanchard writes, I've heard the same. I've been told I have to have fruit. One thing that has changed about me is that whenever anyone tells me I have to do anything, really? Do I? Do I have to do that? I don't have to have fruit. I haven't had a piece of fruit in over 3 years. My blood work is pristine. I don't have to have veggies. Some days I do, some days I don't. People want to know where I get my fiber. I don't think about my fiber. Dr. Westman, one reason he says don't do net carbs is because the jury's out on fiber and its role. Good morning, Jean. I just shared with you, Jean. I just shared with everyone about your non-scale victory. Do you want to repeat it in your own words, the one that you shared on the Keto After 40 page? Okay. Well, if you only eat when you're hungry and you only get hungry once a day, I think to eat 3 meals a day is bunk. I have a hard time as an emotional eater. Louise, that's exactly right. You have got my answer. Why am I going to eat 3 meals a day if I'm not hungry? It's illogical. It is as if someone just decided that the rule is you have to have 3 naps a day, whether you're tired or not. What? No, I'm not hungry, I'm not eating. And over this last week, I have not eaten much. I didn't put out a food video yesterday because it would be about 2 plates of food. I just didn't, my appetite was less for a few days. Yesterday I ate a little bit more. And I'm just going with it. I'm not worried about it. Keeping in mind that my body is eating what it needs, right? Hence the new low. Jean asks, which one? I love that. Which non-scale victory? Jean, it was the one about the size 18 jeans. That is fantastic. Meredith Rivera Di Fronso writes, I need to cut back on using stevia packets. I don't know why. I never bothered to look, but it's 2 carbs per packet. That really adds up. If you put in 3 or 4, put it in and you have 3 or 4 coffees a day. Absolutely. Thank you, Kim, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Yeah, it adds up. Carb creep. This is not a restrictive way of eating, except you've got to watch the carbs. There is so much else to eat. Trying to find a substitute for that sweetness is the biggest challenge for people. If you can take your coffee black and you are not craving sugar, you are going to have a much easier time with this. How do I take my coffee? 2 teaspoons of heavy cream and Splenda. Okay, Hazel Freckles like that. 3 meals a day is nothing but big business. I will eat what my body needs. My body will let me know what it needs. Bravo. Absolutely. From Suffolk County, good morning. Ann Lewis asks, are low-carb protein shakes okay? Sometimes I need something fast or I just don't want to cook. Figure out the carb count. I wouldn't get anything prepackaged, okay? The thing about packaged food is, as a rule, to make it shelf stable, they've got to add stuff to it, which is why the food industry loves junk food. It's cheap. They process it enough We've all heard the stories about the 25-year-old Twinkie. It'll last on the shelves forever. It's cheap to grow. It's cheap to process. It's cheap to package. They can sell it in volume, and people think they're getting a deal. Giant boxes of Cocoa Puffs. That's a lot of profit margin in there. You can't keep lamb shanks on the shelf for long, right? But they're so good. It's not that the food is more expensive, it's more valuable. Keep that in mind. Denise loves it. Writes, I had to watch how many yellow onions I consumed in a week. You know, onions, they grow below the ground, and we know what about vegetables that grow below the ground. We know that they grow below the ground because nature wants that part of the plant to store starch/sugar. It's all the same. Things above can, be above the ground and doing what they're doing. As a rule, vegetables that grow above the ground are how to go, as a rule. Linda, Sharon, is it Sharon or Sharon? Lately, I've cut carbs almost totally out, and I finally started to lose more than 1 pound a month. Kim writes, you know that this way of eating works for you. Don't let the haters discourage you or get you down. It goes against the normal world's attitude. It does. I don't know whether she is on this morning, Kirby Keto. I'm not going to go into the details of a weekend that she shared with me. She had what could only be described as a plot for National Lampoon's Easter Vacation. Horrendous vacation. Just imagine Chevy Chase in any ridiculous situation where family situations you say, well, this could never happen. And poor Kirby was describing what had happened, and it was one thing was worse than the next. In addition to all that was going on with family around, the food that she was being foisted upon her, literally someone with a wedge of cheesecake saying, here, you can have this. We'll walk it off. And this was after the triple stuffed crust pizza, the insistence on going to a Chinese buffet where everything is drowning in either breading and or sugary sauce. The manager of the steakhouse that for some reason as a complimentary thing delivered an entire dessert tray to the table, including, chocolate lava cake and brownies and cheesecake and everything else. And then the insistence of someone that we have to go out for ice cream with sprinkles. She managed cave. And this is a polite young woman. And she was talking to family who was trying to insist that she eat. Insist. And she kept her cool, and she didn't give in. And she shared that 6 months ago, she's been doing keto for 3 months. She's lost 50 pounds and 44 inches. She said 6 months ago, just the family tension, she would have been binge eating, just dealing with it. And, 3 months ago, if someone said, here, just eat it, she would have not had the confidence to say, no, thank you, no, thank you. What she really wanted to say was, man, get out of my face with that food. I said, no means no. Get out of my face with that food. Who do you think you are? That's what you want to say to somebody. Get out of my face with that food. I told you, no, thank you. Get out of my face with that food. I don't want it. We don't tend to talk to each other that way, hopefully. But think about this. If you're having trouble turning down food because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, imagine they were trying to hand you a cigarette and you're not a smoker, or you've given up cigarettes. Imagine they're passing you a shot of tequila and you're in recovery. Just one shot won't hurt you. And imagine if someone was trying to do that to your kid. I said that the other day on the other live thing. What if someone was trying to get your kid to do or consume or partake of something that they didn't want to what would you tell them? No, sweetheart, no means no. You tell the person no means no. You tell these people no means no. Pamela Ramsire, we are all heretics. Yes, all of us. Changing the world, one metabolism at a time. And I've missed some of the comments, so I'm going to take a second here. Pat Ryder says, difficult for me with family. I donated a kidney to my father-in-law 5 years ago, who is now doing well except for his diabetes. He refuses to change his eating, doesn't believe the whole carb theory, and you gave the man one of your kidneys, Pat? And we know that diabetes is so rough on the kidneys. You know, that's tough, Pat. That's quite the story. You know, I imagine it's an analogous to, someone receives a lung transplant and then they fire up after they get out of the hospital. Okay, Keto Queenie, my kids are eating mostly low carb and they love it, but mother-in-law thinks we're killing them. Eye roll, yeah. This is a very helpful way for children to eat. I've said it before. I don't partake of regret in my life as a rule, because I'm very happy, and everything that I've experienced before has gotten me to this moment right now. But if I knew then what I know now, we would be a keto family from conception through pregnancy, through nursing, through child rearing. And then the kids could do whatever they wanted when they left the house. I mean, we can only, as I've often said, we presented the world with 3 wonderful people. What they do now is on them. Jean writes, it sounds so disrespectful. I assume that you're referencing Pat's experience with donating a kidney and then having that recipient on the road to frying that kidney. Hey, Kirby Keto, sweetheart, did you just get on? Because I was talking about your National Lampoon's Easter vacation, honey bun. I was talking about how you made it through a very stressful weekend. Didn't give them details because, frankly, they wouldn't believe it. And how you managed to go and not only not stress eat, you turned down food that was almost being shoved down your face. I'm really proud of you. You're an example. And Kirby Keto is a very polite people pleaser. And some of you out there are people pleasers. So you'd rather please the other people than make them feel bad or make them feel uncomfortable, or man, it's, they went to all this trouble for this dinner. It's all right. They'll get over it. I'm really proud of my girl. Okay, Allison Clunk. I understand how Pat feels. Who wants to give up a body part for someone who won't appreciate it? Jean Connor writes, go rock, Kirby. Yeah, she does rock. Okay, now I'm going to turn my attention to, does anyone have any questions they want to ask? Or anything, not that I have all the answers, the opposite of that. I don't have all the answers. I can share my experience. And I do spend a lot of time studying this. When I'm not doing this, I do have an, as a matter of fact, I have to go to the office today because the other part of my life is beckoning and I have to take care of some business. But I do spend a lot of time researching. So if I don't know an answer, I do try to find it out from reliable sources, not from YouTube personalities. Is that Lap Patterson? I can't read. Made it through a weekend, keeping up with 2 preteen boys. The energy I have now is awesome. Love this way of eating. That's great. Best keto book that's easy to follow. I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you what I did, and I still reference it. Is Linda's Low Carb. It's a very basic website. Low carb. Just Google that, and it's just real basic recipes, but tons of them. And I've taken them and tweaked them. Frankly, one of my most popular videos is ground beef casserole with cheese, and I think that almost came straight off of her website. I think I might have tweaked it a bit because using the things that I had on hand. But it's real simple. But our food has gotten really simple. If you see my stuff on Instagram or my food videos, we pretty much are luscious, fatty sources of protein: lamb, liver, ribeyes, chuck roasts, fatty pork chops, pork roasts, pork belly, and then another piece of food on the side. That might be green beans, it might be Brussels sprouts. I might just eat the fatty source of protein. I do go some days with not a vegetable inside. So recipes, it's pretty much throwing everything in a cast iron skillet with reserved fat from often the last meal that we cooked. And it's so good. Salt, pepper, garlic, maybe some cayenne pepper on however you like to dress it up. Kirby Keto loves pork roast. Pat Ryder shares, one book is fantastic but deep, is Bad Calories, Good Calories. No joke, I read that. Took me 9 months, Pat. Took me 9 months to read it. One of the first couple of times I met Dr. Westman face to face after the meetings, and I shook his hand and thanked him. And he talked about the book during the meeting. I said, you know, I read that book. And he said, you finished it? I said, I did. He said, let me shake your hand. He said, I know doctors have not made it through that book. I said, well, it took me 9 months. It was like, you know, pregnancy and labor, except the pregnancy and labor was easier to get through. It is really good. Good Calories, Bad Calories doesn't talk about the physiological science of why a ketogenic diet would work. It's not a book about diet. It's a book about bad science and how we got to where we are. Linda, Casey, do you know if taking a diuretic causes a non-keto reading on the keto sticks? If you're flushing out a lot of liquid, particularly if you're checking first thing in the morning. So if you're losing a lot of liquid, the acetoacetate, which is what is being registered on the keto sticks, can be diluted to the point where you can get a false negative. Be careful if you're taking a diuretic. You know, make sure you've got your minerals. But if you're taking a diuretic by prescription, I'm sure your medical provider is keep an eye on that. Excuse me. I don't know why every time I get on here, my nose starts to run. So yeah, check when your bladder is not full. Use coconut oil, Justina. That was I'm allergic to. Okay, coconut oil. I use coconut oil for cooking. I don't put it in my other stuff, and I do use it for. There's one recipe that is a recipe that's on my blog. Is it do I have a video for it as well? Making almond cookies. Almond flour is not on page 4. My husband can tolerate almonds. He's ketogenic. He stays in ketosis. He can tolerate them. I make a recipe. I grind up almonds. The ingredients are with ground up almonds that I do on my Cuisinart, coconut oil, Splenda, an egg, a little bit of vanilla, and a pinch of salt. And he has like 3 or 4 a night with coffee. And he loves them. So I make them because I love him. Best way to start on keto. Thank you, Kirby, for teeing that question up for me. I actually did a thing on Facebook Live on Saturday on this very topic because it keeps coming up. How do I start? The way you start is the next time you put food in your mouth, don't have any carbs. That's how you start. And then the next time you put food in your mouth, same thing. Rinse, lather, repeat. A carbohydrate is not an essential nutrient. Contrary to what you will hear, your brain does not require carbohydrate to function. As Dwight Schrute on The Office would say, false. It's not true. Your brain wants glucose if you've been feeding it glucose, but once you transition over, and that's where that hanger comes from, I need more glucose. Once you transition into being in the state of ketosis, you're burning ketones, and your brain loves to burn ketones for fuel. Mind functions much better. So just don't eat carbs. eat almost anything else. Fatty sources of protein. Just start. Just don't eat carbs. It might take you a couple of days. You might have some, feel a little draggy. If you are, have some bouillon to keep your sodium up. That's how you start. You don't need, there's no supplement that's going to push you into ketosis. It's not the presence of what you put in your mouth that puts you into ketosis. It's the absence of eating carbs. It's not the presence of fat. It's the absence of carbs. Okay. Thank you, Kirby. Someone I think had asked, they don't care for eggs or can't tolerate eggs. Breakfast ideas, eat anything you like. I have been known to eat hamburger casserole for breakfast. I've been known to eat ribeye for breakfast. Sometimes I just eat bacon and cheese. You don't have to have eggs. No rule says that, any more than you have to have cereal, any more than you have to have breakfast. Just pretend it's dinner. Eat what you'd eat for dinner. No rule says you have to eat eggs. Oh my gosh. Greener Pastures, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for all your hard work. We truly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for the super chat. Now, I think someone asked about a Slim Fast shake. I wouldn't do it. Okay. Oh, I was going to go back. I'm going to talk about, someone asked about a protein shake if you, just need something quick or you just don't feel like cooking. I make a smoothie for my lovely mate after his bike rides. In our household, cyclists get smoothies. They also get ribeyes. So whenever he's riding his bike, I know what I'm going to be doing for dinner. Here's how I make my smoothie. I make it with, put it in my Vitamix, excuse me. I drink water, about 5 or 6 strawberries, frozen strawberries, a little handful, if I have them, of homegrown blueberries, which we do happen to have, and 1 scoop of this, which I get at Costco. 1 scoop, and it has 3 grams of carbohydrate. And so that's 8 ounces of water, a scoop of this, 5 or 6 strawberries, and that's it. And he really likes it. Now, those 3 grams of carb might be high for me, but probably not because I don't eat too much else the rest of the day that has carbs. Some days I'm meat and fat only. So that's a pretty good one. Really easy to make. Some people use bulletproof coffee for a meal replacement, and that works for many folks. And if it works for you, great. So if you're, pressed if we're talking about a morning time thing, and you just I need to get out the door, it's full of calories and fat, and it's very satisfying. So just, try not to overdo it. If you can tolerate the dietary fat and it works for you, great. I would not go with packaged shakes. And a lot of companies want to tout their grams of protein. This is not a high protein diet. This is an adequate protein. And we don't know what adequate is. Dr. Westman gets asked, he says, it depends. There are too many variables. If you listen to your body, eat fatty sources of protein, eat only when hungry and stop when you're satisfied, your body will pretty much regulate. Overeating protein tends to make us feel not very well. So it's not high protein. It's low carb, and the rest just happens to be made up of fat. It's just the way the math works out. I never measured my grams of protein nor my grams of fat. Still don't. If it works for you, great. Many people love the structure, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, Jean writes, Linda, unfortunately, YouTube is not notifying us, even we have the bell checked to push notifications. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I don't know I don't think I can fix it. By the way, okay, Pat writes, I do bulletproof coffee 3 days a week. The rest of the time it's bacon and eggs. Great. I do want to bring up, and Pat, because Pat is one of my patrons, thank you. And on the Patreon site, I am looking to install a patron-only bulletin board or forum, or however you want to call it. I have found, and Pat's made a suggestion, there's exactly one way to do it within the Patreon site. It's more technical than just clicking something. You have to do, there's some coding and a plugin that has to be installed. So I have my son and daughter-in-law, one of my sons and daughter-in-law, I've asked them if they can look at it because they're like that. You know, shoot, I could probably ask my not yet born grandchild, we're having another grandchild in November, that child is going to come out of the womb knowing how to do this. But, and I'm pretty smart, but this is pretty techy. I have to go into the terminal of my Mac and change things in them. Anyway, so I'm trying to come up with a form within the Patreon side. But Pat is a patron, and I wanted to let her know because she's kindly made some suggestions on how to do that. If I can't get it done, then I'm going to take your suggestion, Pat. I think I'm going to link up to just do another bulletin board type of thing and make it restricted. Jay Marie, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Thank you very much. I wish you'd ask a question because the super chats, I want to feel like I'm earning my keep. Renee Scott writes, I found out my Shakeology has 17 grams of carb and 6 grams of fiber. I won't be drinking that anymore. Dang. Wow. Wouldn't that be discouraging? I had a coaching client. She found out her supplements were adding up to like 14 grams of carb a day. Not supplements like, you know, eat the superfood pill, but her vitamins. The ones she was taking, these were just normal vitamins. They were gummy vitamins. Could have been a clue. But she said, oh my gosh. And so it's like the Tic Tac thing. Look at everything you're putting in your mouth. After a while, you kind of learn. It just becomes second nature. Kirby Keto, when she said that she told me that when her family member was saying, here, have this cheesecake. We're going to go for a walk later. You'll walk it off. And she said, you quickly calculate. And it was probably 1,200 calories in that slice of cheesecake. And I'd have to run a half marathon to work off 1,200 calories. No, I'm not having it. No, you don't understand what you're talking about. She didn't say all that. She just kept saying, no, thank you. Jamie has 20 grams of protein. Okay. The Slim Fast drink I found has 1 gram of sugar. I don't look at grams of sugar. I look at grams of carbohydrate. So I'm not sure what that label would be reading, and I don't care about the grams of protein. For me, I don't look at grams of protein. I only look at grams of carbohydrate. Oh, guys, I'm going to do a straight up video about this, but I'm going to grab something out of my freezer, okay? I was sent some ice cream for a review on my channel. I said, you're welcome to send it if you don't care what I say. Oh, no, absolutely. Hold, please. This is something that's touting itself as low carb and keto friendly. Hold, please. Now, I'm not going to call the name of the company. I don't begrudge anyone trying to make a living. We just have to be informed. So I'm not trying to harm anyone's business. I just want us to know, keep in mind, someone can say keto friendly. That's not a regulated phrase. Manufacturers have not gotten to be huge, wealthy conglomerates by not knowing how to manipulate consumers. Okay? So if someone says low carb, keto friendly, do your homework, guys. This has, okay, first of all, I'm going to make sure I cover over this because I'm not trying to harm anyone's business. This is a little pint. Now, most of us in our previous lives would say, oh, there's my dessert, that container of ice cream. Okay, see if we can read this now. I don't know if you can. One thing, the serving size is a half cup. There are 4 servings in this little container. Look at the grams of carbohydrate. Can you see it? Really? Low carb, keto friendly? Is that 14 or 16? 14 grams of carbohydrate. Now what they're saying is, oh, but look at the dietary fiber is 5 grams. So that brings it only 9 grams of carb. You know, I eat about 10 a day. All right, but even if you're doing 20 a day, And Dr. Westman says, this minusing out the dietary fiber, not sure there's good science behind that. But let's just say that this was 9 grams of carb. 4 servings in here. Can anyone tell me that they'd be stopping at a half a cup? No. And I'm sorry I don't have my glasses, so I can't really read this, but the ingredients, you know what, when I do my, well, there's corn fiber, for one thing. When I do my straight up video on it, the ingredients are things that definitely are not on page 4. So be careful. Don't be gullible. And as a rule, processed or packaged foods, because they need to be shelf stable, even if they're in the freezer section, generally are going to have things in it that are just going to send us down a slippery slope. Okay, chewing gum makes me hungry. I don't chew gum, writes Pamela. Jean writes, I used to eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's in one sitting. No joke, right? No joke. It's like, half a cup? What's that? That's you could fit that on a large tablespoon. Keto Queenie, they deduct alcohol, sugars, and fiber, but like I said, there's a real sugar in it too. Yeah, they're manipulating the information. Not illegally. They're manipulating the message. Just be careful, okay? Be careful out there, guys. Same thing with the packaged shakes. It's the same thing with the packaged bars. There is a bar endorsed by Dr. Westman. He has an interest in the company as well, but it's not this will help you lose weight. And they have trouble, they have to ship them at certain times because they're not long-lived on a shelf. They are true low carb, not net carbs, and they're small. They're called Adapt bars, and they're shipped out of South Africa. The company's Adapt Your Life. But beyond that, I'm not a big fan of a lot of processed foods, and I don't eat the Adapt bars because I don't need that. I'm very happy with the food I eat. But a lot of people like just something to have and be able to pop in their mouth if they're actually hungry and needing to pop something in. Yeah, thank you, Keto. Yes, it is, and I'm not going to be calling any product names. Like I said, I'm not trying to impact anyone's business. I just want my peeps to be well informed. I feel very protective of you. And your ads, it all can be trigger foods. Absolutely. My trigger food, mashed cauliflower. Don't know why, but it is. I'm sure it goes back to something when I was eating mashed potatoes. So I try to avoid mashed cauliflower for me. All right. The more people go keto, the more junk will come out with a keto-friendly labels. Absolutely. Don't be fooled. You know what's keto-friendly? Fatty sources of protein, eggs, full-fat cheese in limited quantities. It's not unlimited. Avocados, non-starchy vegetables, limited quantities. That's keto-friendly. Okay, we're going on 50 minutes. I don't want to overstay. So if anyone has anything they want to share or ask, I asked the question on the Facebook Live event on Saturday. I said, hey, we got about a minute left. Can anyone share, identify, or has anyone seen that the viewers' experiences have impacted people around them, and maybe those people have started improving their health? And man, I got goosebumps. Stuff started firing up. Jean shared that her baby sister started. Spouses, co-workers, daughters, sons, they're saying, yeah, so-and-so saw, my church saw me and they asked what I'm doing and now they're doing it. Start little face-to-face support groups around you, people, at your place of business. I mean, if people don't want to hear about it, don't force it. That gets nowhere. And you can't be didactic about it. You can't say, well, here's what you do. It's simple. Just do it. People ask you, though, share. Think about the grassroots movement this is. It's fantastic. Dr. Westman says this will be grassroots. Medical science, and policy is going to be way behind, trailing behind what the people are actually doing. Kim writes, heavy whipping cream whipped up with vanilla and unsweetened cocoa or sugar-free pudding. Yum! Edie writes, I'm having trouble lost 75 pounds, but close to goal and eat too much. How do I turn away from delicious fatty meats? I don't turn away from delicious fatty meats, but I do try to make sure I'm eating only when hungry, and then the next piece was stopping when full. And I started serving myself on little plates. So if you see photographs of my food, it looks like a big platter because I'm zoomed in. These are small plates that I'm serving myself on. Okay? This is a small plate. This is what I used to eat off of. Look! Baby bear. And that helps me a little bit psychologically. It looks like a full plate. I eat it. But I do just, even if it's one bite of steak left, I say, I don't need this one bite of steak. And I might save it for the next morning and have it for breakfast. Or lunch, That sounds silly. Save a bite of steak? Yeah, why not? Eat when you're hungry. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Absolutely. It's not easy, but it's straightforward. But I won't say it's easy, y'all. I won't lie. It's not easy. Oop, close my cupboard door. Hey, Richard. Hey, you still in the Far East? Met a guy in the gym who was 49, asked me how I was so lean at 59. I told him about keto, and he started it the following day. Yay, Richard. Thank you for sharing that. We are impacting people, y'all. And forget about weight loss. I said this on the Facebook thing. You've already thought it. Think about the saved medical emergencies, the medical cost, the cost of keeping our elderly parents or elderly siblings when all we need to do is maybe get in front of it and the food can help. They get off medications. They get off their walkers, okay? They avoid amputation. They avoid kidney disease. They avoid eyesight issues. Just think about that. Impact one person. Take care of yourself first. Impact one person. And see how well you feel about that. This is a life-changing way of eating, not just because I can fit in a size small, which I am. Thank you, Campus Marketing, for this hoodie. Thank you, Campus Marketing, for the mugs. By the way, said this on the Facebook thing. I want to sell these. They're heavy. It's a 15-ounce mug. It weighs a pound by itself, a pound and an ounce. So shipping it is going to be expensive. I will be, because people have asked, I'm going to put them on my blog, but just be warned. And you're not going to hurt my feelings if nobody buys one, because it's going to cost to ship. And it'll have to be calculated. I can't tell you how much it'll cost to ship to where you are, but I'll have to put a calculator on there. So if you go to kcdurango.com, I'll put it on there. But I love my mugs. All right, almost an hour. Had a hungry day on Saturday. I couldn't stop the pangs. It was so hard to stay true. I caved a little. I ate a tablespoon of butter. It's okay, Linda. And listen, if you're hungry, eat. I don't not eat if I'm hungry. I am not trying to overrule what my very smart body is telling me. My cookie is fast. If I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. I'm just not going to eat a ton. It might be literally an ounce of Gouda cheese, which is my favorite. It might be a tablespoon of pimento cheese. That might be it. Tablespoon of peanut butter. You're still part of the club, sister. We love you. It's okay, but eat if you're hungry. Don't eat if you're not. Kim writes, I want one, please. Kim, you've been such a great support. Patrons on my Patreon site who have pledged to, at a certain level, are getting a mug. I'll just let you know that. I do have to wait until everyone's credit card is charged because I have had some drive-by people who have pledged, gotten rewards, and then unpledged. Tacky. But, or not tacky, that's not tacky at all. They might have just felt better, felt different, or circumstance might have changed. Mugs and jackets, can't wait. Linda writes, I have been eating all day. That's the problem. So you weren't hungry. Because logically, you know you weren't hungry. So what was triggering that? That would be the question I would ask. What triggered that in you? And it could have been the smell of something, you know, olfactory trigger. It could have been an emotional trigger. It could have been bored. You could have been bored. I don't know. Ask yourself the question, why would I want to eat? Why would I feel compelled to eat? And are you still in ketosis? Because it has been brought up that some people can actually stay in ketosis. They increase their carbs a little bit. They're still in ketosis, but they notice that when they increase the carbs, still in ketosis, the cravings come back. So there might be like an uncanny valley in there somewhere where you're still in ketosis, but you've eaten enough carbs that you're triggering cravings. Self-analyzation. Let's all do it. Kim writes, for shipping mugs, try flat. Now it's really expensive to do that. It's really expensive. I asked about flat rate. It's because it's the odd size and the boxes. You know, it has to be like 6.5. It's an odd size. I'll continue the search. Okay, boredom. Yeah, boredom is a big one. Habit is another, but boredom is a big one for eating. So, you know, let's try to find a substitute for that boredom. Let's try to find an activity. You know what I do? I get my steps in. I say, well, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. Although the times I have nothing to do is getting less and less. And I'll say, I'm going to get in 500 steps. I run around my house. Find a trick. Trick yourself. Why don't they use lighter cups? Okay, I had these made. I really like them. This is how much they are. I can get a smaller cup, but I like this one. So it's a heavy-duty cup. Pat Ryder, Kel, the only low-carb bread I've had is from the Great Low Carb Bread Company, and the carbs are much less than 5 grams. Carbs. What about shipping UPS ground? It was even more expensive. It was going to be $12.75 from where I am to go to Seattle. I just pulled a place out with the postal service. $19.50 UPS. Yikes. Okay, thanks, Jesse. I think you were the first one to log on this morning. Thank you so much for checking in. And you guys, thank you for your support. We are at nearly an hour. I appreciate it. And thank you for supporting each other. I love to see it. Y'all love to see it. And you answer, there's so much wisdom out there that you guys have, so much combined wisdom. If you are in the central North Carolina area or near Durham, the next low carb support group meeting is a week from tomorrow. I will be sending out notices on all the appropriate Facebook places. Let me know if you can make it. That would be really cool. It's free to attend. There's a keto, it truly is keto-friendly buffet at the Hilton that they provide. It's $18 for that. You don't have to eat though if you don't want to. Okay, guys, really appreciate it. Jean writes, bring the cups to the May support group meeting, please. was suggested, and I might do that. Or I might have to go to a flea market and sell them because I don't know. Or everyone I know is getting a Go Keto with Casey mug for Christmas. Hey, Karen. Adios. Have a great keto day. And thank you for your help earlier today, Karen. I really appreciate it. Hasta la vista, baby. Peace.